The Lady Vols, they couldn't string together enough offense or quiet Florida State for long enough. One too many opportunities left on the field tonight. Joe Milton's ability to flick the ball 60 yards down the field may be a threat to defenses this year. So too will the ground game and Jabari Small and Jalen Wright, who are coming back for yet another season. You look at the defensive side of the ball. Aaron Beasley said they didn't do a good job of snapping and clearing. That's the motto on defense. You flush the last play and you move on to the next. They didn't really do that, and you saw that in the third down conversions by Florida. The Lady Vols say it's felt like an eternity since they met Virginia Tech in December and how they played in the first two rounds of the NCAA tournament. You'd have to agree. A key player for you all coming back for her senior season is Kiki Malloy. She was a torchbearer last year, set the program single season record for home runs. How important is it to have somebody like a Kiki Malloy back in the orange and white? Of course, this time it's Tennessee with the Cigars and Alabama leaving theirs in the stands. The Lady Vols, they were able to bring it to a 1-point game late in the second half, but in the fourth quarter, it featured a 6-minute scoring drought. That's enough to take anyone out of the game, and it certainly was the case here tonight. It'll be fun to see the wide receivers and Joe Milton connect, but you also really still need to be effective in the run game. Who are you expecting to see take that next step this year? There is incredible balance on this team, outscoring opponents 223-97. A key part to that has been Brandon Hayward, the wideout and DB. What makes him so effective? And I think the biggest difference from the first 4 ranked games that they played to now is that this team has really found its identity. Rakia Jackson and Jordan Horston really coming together and becoming that dynamic duo that this team needs. When we look at that trio between Tess Darby, Jordan Horston, and Rakia Jackson, they're shooting well over 40% from deep, and you need that, especially when you're going up against a UConn team that loves the perimeter shot as well. You arrived to Rocky Top in 2017 and had such early success with this program, ending last season as SEC champions. What do you think it is about Coach Josh Heupel that he too has been able to find such early success here? 1,000 miles later, this group of runners are running for the final time here on Tom Black Track before they take to the streets of Boston for the Boston Marathon. Going into 2021, there were tons of changes. You look at all the guys who left, new coaching staff, a new head coach in Josh Heupel. What gave you the confidence to stay? You've been with the program since 1985. Your current team is 8-0. What has been the biggest reward in your final year?
It's always the reward about being with the kids every second.
Coach Tony Vitello says Charlie has always been very businesslike, even when they were recruiting him, and that's helped him develop as a starting catcher and being able to juggle the responsibilities of being the point guard for the defense, one of the many things that's required to be an elite catcher in college baseball.
I broke a finger last year when it was really cold, and the pitch just went a different way than I was expecting and kind of caught me in a bad spot, but typically my pointer finger, because that's where it gets bruised the most.
Some might even expect that. Tennessee's pitchers are routinely tossing near triple-digit figures. While the glove tries to withstand the heat, parts of his gear are trying to do the same.
Evo Shield has a little heart piece. It's like a little slot you put it into in here, so it protects me from any ball that might pop me real good right there.
For many catchers, some of their gear comes down to preference.
A lot of people call this the hockey mask. I think that the two-piece mask sometimes looks a little cooler, but for me, this one just makes a lot more sense. For example, on a pop-up, I look up in the sky. I don't have to worry about my helmet piece falling off, my mask going the other way.
Every movement Charlie makes has a purpose, even down to his stance in the catcher's box.
When a batter gets 2 strikes on him or there's anybody on base, I always come up to 2 feet, so I'm a little more athletic. If there's something in the dirt, I can get down and block it real quick. Or if somebody tries to run, I can get up and throw them out a little bit quicker.
You've got an umpire on your back. You've got a batter here swinging inches from your face. How do you kind of keep all that balanced? What is that like, having so many people so close to you?
Well, for me, right when I walk out here, I try and shake the umpire's hand. I want to make him my best friend because I want to be back here for 9 innings with him. So the better relationship we have, the more it's going to work. You know, the hitter, sometimes the crowd can be chaotic. I'd say the biggest thing for me is just taking a deep breath, not letting the game speed up on me, staying in control.
Charlie also has to be in control of his defense.
People call it the quarterback of the defense. You have to know every pitch, every play, where people are supposed to be, directing people, and then you also kind of have to be just a which is kind of my favorite part, is like a support staff for that pitcher on the mound.
Maybe the most intricate part of his job is mapping out the pitch sheet, a monumental task the pitching and catching units tackle ahead of each game.
Coach Anderson prepares more than anyone in this league. He studies these hitters. He knows what they like to hit, what they don't like to hit, where their weak spots are. So we really just follow his plan.
Of course, it's never that simple, especially when the pitchers shake off the call.
I love it because it's them throwing what they want to throw, not what Coach Anderson or what I want them to throw.
Dealing with pitchers can be a tricky business, but Charlie's message is always the same, even if his approach varies.
Some guys you can go out there and kind of say, hey man, like let's pick it up, but some guys you kind of maybe crack a joke or tell them you're doing great, man. It just totally depends on the personality. So I think that's one of the more fun parts is learning about your teammates so you can be better able to motivate them in the right ways.
You spent 16 months away from the game. Why did you pick up the baseball again?
Yeah, honestly, a big part was my brother Ben playing. I didn't even watch a single baseball game. I guess it was 2020 and 2021, didn't watch a single game. And then I came back to watch him play in the first game. I think I've said it before, I was sitting in the stands and I had to like get up and walk around. I got to have goosebumps, kind of missed the whole environment, missed being with the teammates, missed playing the game.
During that time, Zach Joyce closed himself off to a lot of people. Even his twin brother, Ben, who took the sport by storm in 2022 with his fast pitch. But finding joy in the game again ultimately brought them back together.
And he was really encouraging too. He would talk to Coach Anderson, talk to Coach V, just like kind of tell him how I was doing throwing and stuff. So he really did help me a lot.
You stepped away from the game in 2020 because of mental health issues. What compelled you to open up about those battles?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing for me, and I've learned kind of through the whole process, is that like my personal experience was not opening up was really the thing that kind of made it worse. And I looked up to Tennessee baseball players, when I was a little kid. So I thought maybe I'd have a chance to help kids that were in the same position that I'm in.
How do you keep those harmful thoughts from filtering back in?
The biggest part for me was just opening up and being able to lean on my teammates, lean on my family, my brother, my parents. And that's something I'll keep using because it is definitely still a struggle. There's times where it's kind of highs and lows, like a roller coaster, as my dad says, just kind of just being able to deal with the highs, deal with the lows.
In October of last year, Zach announced on Twitter that he'd been struggling with his mental health. In that tweet, you had one phrase that says, progress always starts with a single step. How has that phrase helped you in your journey?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like the whole journey coming back, especially my parents they were the first ones that kind of told me that, why don't you just start throwing again? The next step was talking to the coaches and kind of just leading from there. So, I mean, I wouldn't be here playing again at Tennessee if I had just taken that first step of just throwing.
His first step was going to his dad and asking if he'd play a game of catch with him again.
I didn't really have the courage, honestly, to ask someone to play catch with me at the beginning because I just didn't think it was going to be very good. So he really did help me a lot. And then, like I said, going to Farragut with Coach Buckner, it was kind of really just helped me build up that confidence, first throwing with my dad and then throwing with the catcher at Farragut, and then, getting to throw here in the summer and stuff like that. So it really just kind of like a little progression, like I said, one step at a time, working through those different stages of the comeback process.
He also learned what he was feeling wasn't abnormal. In fact, he would be someone young athletes could look up to.
There was a kid actually that he had kind of the same injury I had in high school, which was like a growth plate fracture. Just kind of talking to him about it, he said like it really did mess with his head a lot too. You're not the only person going through it, and that's really what helped me a lot in the beginning too.
And just as the Tennessee Vols began training for the 2023 season, Zach was right there with them. Describe those emotions that you went through when you stepped on the mound for the first time again.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the first inter-squad I threw in. I think that's the most nervous I've ever been in my entire life, and it was just an inter-squad here. Just because, I mean, it had been like 4 years, and obviously my dream my whole life had been to play at Tennessee. I just kind of realized how much I really did care about it, and like how much I hadn't missed the game, just that competitive aspect of being out there and throwing against another batter, even if it was our own team.
As you continue your first year back, what are those goals? What are some things you're going to make sure you cherish this time around?
Yeah, I mean, just being able to cherish being out on the mound again, whether it be an inter-squad, a game, SEC game, I never thought I would throw in a game again, so it kind of gives you just that much more of a meaning to you. Just being able to cherish those moments and, being a Tennessee Volunteer has been pretty cool.
We can't skip past men's tennis. They've just been on a roll these last couple of seasons. In consecutive years, they've made deep postseason runs, going to Champaign for the national semifinals and 2021 SEC champions. And in 2023, they want to do that, Rick. They want to move their name one spot closer to the national championship match. So it seems like you've had quite a bit of fun these last few seasons on Rocky Top, back-to-back national semifinal appearances, an SEC championship. What has it taken to get to this point?
Perseverance. I mean, this is an industry where, you know, there are a lot of highs and a lot of lows, and learning how to handle the success. It kind of comes down, is it harder to get to where we are? Is it harder to stay? And really just a lot of hard work is how we've gotten to where we are now.
7 of Tennessee's 9 roster spots are filled by either a graduate student or a senior, one of which is Emil Hudd, who transferred to Tennessee a season ago and quickly became a key piece to this team. So when you were recruited by the associate head coach and James McKee, he mentioned that you had a lot of intangibles to help this team win a national title. To have that vocalized and have that much belief in you, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think all 3 coaches do a great job of telling us what our strengths are and believing in us, and when we go out in the court, to know that we have 3 coaches who believe in us and have that trust in us, it helps us in the biggest moments, and so I can't express how much that helped us all.
Over the last year or so, he's really, especially the last like 8 or 9 months, he's really tried to step it up. Coming from where he was and the role that he's asked to play now, and it's singles and doubles and a voice of wisdom. Really proud of him, and you know, makes me happy to talk about how far he's come.
After a 4-0 start to this season, the Vols narrowly dropped back-to-back road games against ranked opponents. Now they return to Knoxville for a few matches, eager to correct their mistakes.
It's tennis. When you're playing the best teams, the margins are so fine. Sometimes it doesn't go your way, but we've talked about it. We've understood where we went wrong, and now we have this weekend where we're looking to make amends and get back right on track.
For 2 matches, I don't want to say irrelevant or inconsequential, but there are things that we can improve on, and just by staying the course.
For this team to stay the course, Coach Woodruff says it'll take more than just experience.
We can get to this point over and over and over and over again, and I can tell you, well, the head coach really believes in you and we trust one another, but at the end of the day, when they look in the mirror, they're going to have to solve that issue of can I or can't I.
The Vols swept Louisiana in their first match back home with 2 remaining on the slate, and Coach Woodruff says as long as they continue to focus on those details, he has all the confidence they can make a return trip to Champaign for the national semifinals. Good morning and welcome into the Big Orange Leadoff Show. The Tennessee Lady Vols began their postseason run last night at home, marking their 18th straight time that they've hosted a regional. This time they faced Northern Kentucky. And if you caught the game last night, you know the Lady Vols wasted no time getting on the board. We'll start with Zeta Pooney in the bottom of the first. She's getting to work. You see her launching a line drive basically out into the stands that goes a solo bomb. Gets the Lady Vols on the board early, but the junior was far from done. She'd cash in another home run. This time going left, she's going to bring in 2 runs with her for her 10th home run of the season, her 2nd on the night, and the Lady Vols lead at 12-0. And then in the circle, Peyton Gatshall pitching lights out, and then it would end with a fly out to Riley West to close it, and the Lady Vols, they win it after 5 on a run rule. But we just saw Gatshall there. She had herself a night, tossing a no-hitter through 5. She struck out 9 and walked just 2. And then how about the freshman Jamison Brockenborough? She had 3 at-bats, and she cashed in as well. She had 2 hits that brought in 5 runs. One of those was a 3 RBI triple in the 3rd. Coach Karen Wickley said after the game that there's really something unique about the freshman.
She doesn't dwell, and I think that's the good thing about her. She's got a pretty good short-term memory. And what you're seeing these last couple weekends, that's the jam that, you know, I saw when I recruited her. She's got a lot of talent, you know, and when she just lets it go, she's pretty special.
You love to see the depth on this team. Peyton said after the game that she found out that she was actually getting the starting job for that Friday game in the morning during their film session. The Bowling Green transfer reiterated again last night that this is why she came to Tennessee.
This is my only visit, first and only, and just the competitive environment, and just from watching the team previously, I knew that they were a great, solid group, and I just really wanted to be a part of that and help them achieve the goals and everything that I wanted, but what all the team wanted.
to a Tennessee
You know, this
victory.
team is so focused that when in the post game we told her that this was her first no-hitter in her Tennessee career, and she said she had no idea. The game ended on a flyout to Riley West. That's how they snag it over the Norse. But here's a rough breakdown of what's to come this weekend, specifically later today. We mentioned Tennessee and Indiana. They're going to take game 1 of today. That's going to be at 1 p.m. Following that will be Northern Kentucky and Louisville, both of them losers of game 1. And then the final game of day 2 today will feature winner of game 4 and the winner of game 3. Hopefully Tennessee is going to be in that game. Then of course it all comes down to Sunday, and the last time the Lady Vols advanced past the opening round was in 2019 when they played Florida for the Supers.